From CBS 4 News, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Good morning, I'm Jim DeFede and welcome to Facing South Florida. So much for 2021 being easier than 2020. It already feels like 6 months of news has happened in the first 2 weeks of this year. The Capitol was stormed and the president was impeached for the second time. This time around, 10 Republicans joined all of the Democrats in the House in voting for impeachment. Miami Republicans Carlos Jimenez, Mario Diaz-Balart, and Maria Elvira Salazar voted against the impeachment. On Friday, I spoke to Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. We had scheduled this interview more than a month ago to talk about Martin Luther King Day and the plans for a virtual breakfast Monday to honor the civil rights leader. And in some ways, the conversation seems all the more important now, given recent events. But we started with the insurrection at the Capitol and the impeachment of the president. I haven't spoken to you since the storming of the Capitol. What's your reaction? What were you feeling that day? And as you look back on it, what are your thoughts?
I am just astounded. And that was one of the days I will never forget. It was commensurate with 9/11. And just to watch on TV what I saw taking place, and I was watching very closely, the insurgency of the Capitol just broke my heart. And I predicted it. I knew it was going to happen, but never did I dream they would get into the Capitol. I knew that they would be on the grounds of the Capitol like ants. And I knew that they would be wreaking havoc with the Capitol Police, but I was under the understanding that the Capitol Police was aware and that they were ready for them. But no one could prepare for what we saw on that day and experienced that day. It was absolutely astonishing for our democracy.
Well, and just to be clear, when you say you were in your office, because of pandemic rules and because of COVID-19, very few members are allowed to be on the floor of the House or even in the gallery during that time. So what you were in, the House has various office buildings abutting right across the street, near to the Capitol building itself. And so you were in your office seeing this, but you had received notification, as all members did, that you were supposed to lock and shelter in place, correct?
Right, lock and shelter in place. So staff pushed sofas up against the door, and it was a very scary time because we couldn't be sure as to who was going to try to gain entry into our office buildings, offices. But I believe they were after Mike Pence and Ms. Pelosi. I don't think that they were necessarily looking for members.
Putting President Trump aside for a moment, the security failure, the failure of the Sergeant-at-Arms of the House, of the Senate, of the Capitol Police Chief, what needs to be done? I know they're all resigned and have left. Does there need to be, you liken this to 9/11, does there need to be a 9/11 style commission to review what took place and to make changes accordingly?
Definitely. And we have all sorts of bills flying around Congress to make sure that that happens. There needs to be a thorough investigation. I am concerned that so many of the Capitol policemen who are African American were complaining that they had received so many slurs thrown at them even before. And we know what would have happened if these were Black Lives Matter protesters. So they would have been dead. They would have been shot with rubber bullets or tasers or tear gas or water or dogs or something would have happened.
Do you think there were some Capitol Hill police officers who were sympathetic to the crowds as well and may have helped and facilitated them?
Sure, they were wearing MAGA hats and they were taking selfies with them. And it is my understanding that there were members, Republican members, giving tours the night before of the Capitol. You have to know where you're going in the Capitol. You have to know where you're going in those office buildings. It's like a maze. You can't easily find places. And our whip has an office on the third floor that nobody can find. I have to get my staff to take me to the office, but they found his office and tore it up.
You mentioned before about the Black Lives Matter protests over the summer, and we've been hearing a lot of the idea of, well, what about the protests during the summer? Where was all the outrage, you know, from Democrats during that time, and trying to build what some consider to be a false equivalency that all violence is wrong, and yet somehow what happened at the Capitol is no different than what's happened in Portland or Seattle or in other cities. Address that. How would you respond to the members who make that argument?
There's no comparison. The people who were protesting with Black Lives Matter are protesting for the First Amendment right and for racial injustice. And they did not breach any public buildings or wreak any havoc. If anything, the police wreaked havoc on them.
Well, there were, I mean, to be fair, Congresswoman, there were incidents where a police station was taken and burned in one city, and there have been incidents. I think it's more like, I think what needs to be done is more the motivation.
This is the capital of the United States, the head of our federal government, our vice president of the United States was ordered to be hanged by the president of the United States. Our Speaker of the House was ordered to be murdered by the President of the United States. This was an insurgency that was created by the President of the United States, who said to his followers, go, do what you have to do. So he incited them to go. And this was all about a man who has planted in the hearts and minds of his insurgents that the election was stolen. And we know that it was a fair election. And if those rioters, and those, I don't even want to call them rioters, if those insurgents were Black, they would be dead on the street today. With no Black Lives Matter people beat police officers with fire extinguishers. They did not do one thing that you could compare with what happened at the Capitol. That's almost like an insult.
Let me ask you this, and I do want to talk about the Martin Luther King Day events that you have coming up, and we'll talking about that in a second. But just to stay on this topic for just a moment more, address the question that many people have, which says that impeaching the president, as was done this past week, was really a futile effort, given that he is going to be out of office come this Wednesday anyway, that there serves no purpose to impeach him since there's not going to be a trial in the Senate by then anyway. What good is it doing?
Well, Jim, we had to do something. I mean, you cannot relay to the American people that what he did was okay and needs to go unpunished. So what will happen is, number one, he'll be the first president to ever be impeached twice. And he's going to be put on trial in the Senate. And when he's put on trial, we will have a majority of Democrats. And hopefully a lot of Republicans who are now coming forth and saying what he did was wrong. It was beyond the pale. They cannot believe it. They will join the Democrats, and we will be able to so to speak, remove him from office. And I have someone researching, because I believe that if he is removed from office, which has never happened before, we can no longer call him president again. And we know that he will never be able to run for office anymore, because he's threatening to run for president again.
Well, do you believe that the votes are going to be there in the Senate to convict him? I mean, that's 17 Republicans.
After all of the investigating, I'm learning something every day, and I was there. I'm learning something every single day as I follow this whole pattern of disgust. And what I see, I don't think any human being who serves in Congress with me, Republican or Democrat, can turn a blind eye to what emanated out of that White House.
I want to pivot to the MLK Day event and the breakfast that you're hosting on Monday morning virtually because of COVID. But I want to do it because I thought this is the most striking thing that I think a lot of people have missed. On the Tuesday of the Georgia elections, we saw Reverend Warnock become the first African American to be elected to the Senate from Georgia, the first, I believe, from any state of the Confederacy to be elected to the United States Senate. And yet the very next day, we saw protesters carry the battle flag of the Confederacy through the halls of the Capitol. As we now look forward to Martin Luther King Day on Monday and the celebrations that you have, talk to me about the significance, not just of that moment that you saw with Pastor Reverend Warnock, and what we're seeing now in the country.
In spite of the healthcare emergency that we have that's killing African Americans every single day, the pandemic of COVID-19, in spite of the insurgency that we saw on the Capitol that was racially motivated, carrying the battle flag, and also swastikas were imprinted on these people's bodies. In spite of it, we see joy for the children, for the families of this community who can attend the 5,000 Role Models of Excellence breakfast and pay tribute to our drum major of justice and drum major of peace, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It will be a welcome relief from all of the misery that we have been through. And I mean, 2021 has ushered in, hopefully, a brand new day with a brand new president and a brand new vice president, Kamala Harris, who will be the highlight of the breakfast. And so this is going to be a great day. She has broken the glass ceiling and glass is all over the breakfast.
What do you think Martin Luther King would make of the events of the last week? Because you hear some on the president's side, on the Republican side, say this is a time for healing, a time for looking forward. Do you think those are the sentiments that Reverend King, Dr. King, would share, or do you think that he believes accountability would also be in order here?
I believe Dr. King will say, even though we wash our hands in the same sinks, we don't ride in the back of the bus anymore, we go to the front door of restaurants, but all is not well. We still have miles to go. And I want you to know that. I want you to continue to fight for your rights. I want you to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, because that's where the power is. That's how we got Senator Warnock, because we have to break down some of these barriers that have Jim Crow laws that have been put in place over the years. And I think Dr. King will challenge us to fight through Congress and fight to make new laws and break down some of the bad laws that President Trump has been in place. He has reversed so many good things that President Obama put in place, all kinds of issues with student loans and different healthcare issues. So Dr. King would be saying, fight, Frederica, fight, and reverse all of those tactics. You cannot give up, and you cannot let this man get away with it. He would be on our side.